Well, let me tell you, Dr. Barnhart, Caitlin Clark has something in common with my mom and my sister.
All
So
right.
my question to consider is this. What can we learn from Caitlin Clark, my mom, and my sister about inspiring others and passing on opportunity and hope? Well, let me tell you a little bit about Becky Baki, my mom.
Becky Baki,
Welcome to the Caitlin Clark March Madness episode 3
number
of
three.
the Minding the Gap podcast. I'm Paul Baki with Dr. David Barnhart. We're licensed counselors with Behavioral Sciences out of Alabama. March Madness is over. It's April. Caitlin Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes fell to the mighty South Carolina Gamecocks in the championship, but the Hawkeyes fought valiantly, and it was a great season. What did you think about it?
I loved it. I loved every minute of it.
It was fun, wasn't it?
Yes, and I,
What are your thoughts about the impact that Caitlin Clark and the Iowa team had this season?
oh man. Well, you first of all, you know that I like data and I like expert opinions from actual experts. Some of the information came from like the mayor of the city of Iowa, and the financial impact on the Iowa City, that is, they sold out 30 of 32 regular season games. That's
Yeah.
huge. And according to the mayor, they brought in over $82 million to the city. That was amazing. And
That's an
uh,
impact.
and just thinking about the number of people that watched the final game. So there was an average of 18.7 million viewers, but it peaked at 24 million combined on ESPN and ABC. So it was the first time in history that a woman's or a women's final has drawn a larger TV audience than the men's, according to ESPN. And I get this, I get the Athletic Daily. So there's usually something in there that I'll pick up on, be interested in. And of course, I was interested in whatever they had to say with about Caitlin Clark. And if you saw this, so Don Staley, who was the coach of South Carolina, described Caitlin as, quote, one of the goats of our game, end quote. After
Greatest of
they
all
beat
time.
after they beat Iowa in the
Yeah.
championship. Oh man. So to go on with some of that article in the Athletic Daily, they quoted an anonymous general manager of an WNBA team. He said, I would trade my whole team for her. Oh my goodness. And then it goes on to say, partly because our owner would do it to sell tickets, of course. But on top of that, that's such a great piece to start to build around.
It's
You know,
amazing, and
oh my
and
goodness.
the and think about they're already selling tickets to the Fever, and the draft is tonight. The WNBA draft is tonight. I'll be watching.
I'm going to be watching.
Be the first time I've watched that.
I've never been interested in
Never
watching.
really occurred to me to watch it.
No, no. Yeah,
So the impact is unbelievable from a
incredible.
financial, the people watching, the frenzy that it had on people. There was a sense of community,
Mhm.
something to rally around and be excited about, inspiration to young people, young girls in line waiting for autographs. The time that my brother and I got to go to one of the games, the lady next to me said
Yeah.
there was a different person in the seat every game. Obviously, the people had sold their tickets, and often it was, a little girl who just wanted that to see her play a game for Christmas or birthday present or something like that.
Amazing.
And it's just to watch. My brother and I went at the end of the game to just watch the line of
Mm.
kids that were ready to get an autograph. So the impact has been amazing, and the team unity that they had provide a great model of relationships for teams and for families and for communities. And the thing that I thought about too, I watched the interviews, the post-game interviews after the game of the other team, the other players on the team, and they were talking about the impact on them, on some of the younger players.
Mm-hmm.
And and that really highlights areas that we should really talk about that are important in sports, and the so many benefits that go way beyond winning. Caitlin Clark spoke about what she wanted her legacy to be, and she said not the records or the wins as much as growing the sport, growing the opportunities, growing the basketball experience for the girls and the women's games.
Mm-hmm.
Relation and I said the girls were talking about what are you going to miss the most? The relationships, the friendships, the impact that they had on me. Well, let me tell you, Dr. Barnhart, Caitlin Clark has something in common with my mom and my sister.
All right.
So my question to consider is this: what can we learn from Caitlin Clark, my mom, and my sister about inspiring others and passing on opportunity and hope? Well, let me tell you a little bit about Becky Bakke, my mom.
Becky Bakke?
That's right.
That's
My mom grew up in a small town in Iowa.
Yeah.
She played high school basketball in the 1950s, back in the 6-on-6 days when you had court divided into threes, offense and defense.
I remember that.
And I'm sure you're familiar with that. You were a basketball player in high school too, right?
I dated girls that played 3-on-3 back in the old days.
So my mom talks about how her coach met with her before practice so she could get extra practice and on her outside shot, because he thought she could be good at that. She was good at it. He wanted her to be able to make those in the game. And back then, there was no three-point line, so there was no advantage to shooting outside. Typically, the philosophy was get it in, get inside, closer shots.
Yeah.
But my mom, she could shoot it. Believe me, I've shot a lot of basketball in the backyard with my mom, and she's got great form, and she could hit them from deep.
Oh man!
So she had to be pretty good to be able to shoot from outside, or to get the green light to do that.
Yes.
My older brother Matt, who was a great outside shooter himself, and he's a Hall of Fame college basketball player. 2 different schools. He is in the Hall of Fame. So he's got a pretty good resume. And he was, where did he learn how to shoot like that?
Mom.
My dad was an inside player. You know, he played high school too, but he was not a big outside shooter. So she had a great influence on him. So my mom talks about how she'll never forget how important that opportunity was for her. And she gets a little bit of an extra sparkle in her eye when she talks about those days, and to really indicate how important that was for her.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, my family moved to Memphis, Tennessee when Matt, my older sister Julie, and I were really young, and we were all involved in sports growing up. My mom saw that there were lots of opportunities for boys, but our local community center didn't have girls teams. So she went to speak to the director about starting girls teams. And the director was very positive about that. The director said, that sounds like a great idea, but you're going to have to coach the teams.
Yeah. There you go.
So she did. So my mom coached, my dad coached along with my mom. And so she wanted to have the opportunity, my sister, to have an opportunity to play sports just like we got. So she was able to impact and grow the sport in Memphis, Tennessee. And there's an article that we still have that's clipped out of the Memphis Commercial Appeal about my mom, her influence in starting basketball. So anyway, so they even coached teams that my sister Julie didn't even play on. One of their teams scored 100 points in a game.
Good Lord.
They were like 12 years old.
Oh my gosh. That's
so
crazy.
It really reminded me of this Iowa team that played that fast pace. They passed it up the court. They were good shooters. I mean, they were amazing to watch even back then, and that was really kind of unheard of at the time. So I have that extra spark of excitement when I talk about that and my mom's influence. Can you tell?
Oh, not at all.
Okay, well, just wait. Let me tell you about my sister.
Let's hear it.
Julie. Julie played softball, basketball, and ran track in high school, and she ran track in college too. She was named High School Athlete of the Year in Memphis her senior year. This is the entire city of Memphis.
That's gigantic.
Athlete of the Year.
Yeah.
So I always wanted to be as fast as my sister. My sister was really fast. Could never beat her in a race. She's 5 years older than me. And I'll never forget the day in the yard that I beat her in a race. And I felt like I had arrived.
Well, of course.
Yeah. And so
girls are faster than boys up until a point.
Well, I ended up catching up to her in height and all that kind of stuff.
I'm glad.
Got to be. But anyway, so that was a big influence on me, my sister. But my sister has been a recreation director in Memphis for several years, and she's had a huge impact on so many young lives through community sports leagues. I mean, she's starting leagues all over the place. She's had just an amazing impact on opportunities for young people in Memphis, Tennessee. So Julie passed on what my mom passed on, and Caitlin Clark now wants her legacy to be passing on and growing girls basketball that has its roots with Iowa girls basketball and my mom.
Absolutely. So isn't that great?
That's what we can all learn from my mom, my sister, and Caitlin Clark.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with a record book, a scorebook, scoreboard, or a championship. We can learn to inspire others and make opportunities for others bigger by passing it on.
We can volunteer to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And facilitate that type of growth.
So take that lesson from my mom, my sister, and Caitlin Clark. Thanks for watching.
Great story.